We know what the Steelers are. The last decade, they've been the Mike Tyson of the NFL. Man, they beat up on bad teams. They roll average teams. Mike Tyson did that. If you were average, past your prime, a B fighter, man, you look at Tyson, you're like, he'd destroy the greatest fighters of all time. But when you put Lennox Lewis in the ring with him, he was outclassed. When you put Evander Holyfield 2 times in the ring with him, a great technical fighter, a guy with a chin, Mike Tyson looked lost. That's what the Steelers are. We knew the Steelers were going to beat a new head coach. Do you understand the last decade, the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Browns and Bengals, bad organizations, are 33-6-1. But what are they against the Ravens and the Patriots in the last decade? 10-18. And those are the teams you got to beat to get to the land where the Steelers feel is theirs. Super Bowls. That's what Pittsburgh is about. This is not the New York Mets. This is not the Jags. This is not, the Milwaukee Bucks. These are the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is, looking for the fifth ring, one for the thumb. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Even last year, they were 8-2 on their third-string quarterback, a guy named Duck. And when you're the Steelers and you have great ownership and a great GM and a Hall of Fame quarterback, and they always have great weapons, they always have great wide receivers and a good offensive line and linebackers that can run over the field, but you have continuity. You're going to beat half the teams on your schedule just because you're not a dumpster fire, and they never are. Last night was classic Pittsburgh. Whoa! I think they're a Super Bowl team. They dominated! Yeah, because they're buttoned up in terms of organizationally. They draft well. They develop players. They do a great job. But then they run into those elite teams and those elite quarterbacks. And you do get in 2020, the AFC runs through Andy Reid, Hall of Famer, Patrick Mahomes, going to be a Hall of Famer, Lamar Jackson, world class, John Harbaugh probably gets into the Hall of Fame. The Giants are not what you got to get through. The New York Giants, new head coach, new coordinator, new system, second-year quarterback in Daniel Jones. Pittsburgh's been beaten up on that for the last decade. That's not the issue. The Giants are a lot closer to the Browns and the Bengals than they are to the Ravens and the Chiefs today. The Giants are a mess. I know what I get from Pittsburgh when they face teams like that. I mean, again, just having their front office and their ownership and Big Ben and continuity, which they almost always have, that's going to, a solid head coach and a solid quarterback, you're going to win a bunch of games in the NFL just because you've got your you-know-what together. But the Steelers, 9-7 and out in the first round, 10-6, second in the division wild card, out in the first round. That's not what the Steelers are about. Their standards are much, much higher. Their standards are the Ravens standards and, the Packers standards and the Patriots standards. That's their standards here. And last night, my two takeaways. The New York Giants stink. And number two, it's good to have Big Ben back. It's good to have Big Ben back. I'm happy to see Big Ben. Fan of Duck Hodges, but good to have Big Ben back and all those receivers and the Steelers and the winning. It's Monday night. But Mike Tomlin, he knows the truth about this season, and he knows the truth about last night. At least the coach knows. That's the good news. He knows what he saw. He knows what they have to be to get back to a Steeler level, not beating a lousy Giants team and Browns and Bengals and all that NFL nonsense. Okay. So nobody likes criticism. Let's be honest about it. I don't like it. You don't like it. Even constructive criticism from people we respect, we don't sleep well that night. Tom Brady got ripped by his coach. Excuse me? Tom Brady wasn't determined enough? I don't know if your television set's been working for 20 years. Tom's got issues. He's not the greatest athlete. But the determination thing, I'm going to go with Tom's good on that. Secret practices, helicopters hovering at high schools in Tampa. You got to be careful here. Bruce Arians is loose. His lips are loose. His teams are loose. Last year led the NFL in penalties. The first week, 9 penalties. Punt blocked. That's Tampa. That's Bruce Arians. By the way, Arians admitted after looking at the film, oh, wait, that first interception, that was on Mike Evans. That was not on Tom Brady. It's not a small thing. Arians reminds me a little bit of Brett Favre. Talented, gunslinger, details, yeah, kind of a go-with-the-gut guy. I like Arians. I liked Favre. But you're dealing with Tom Brady, the greatest at his position ever. And Brady is the opposite of Favre. He is the opposite of Arians. He is absurdly buttoned up, absurdly detailed, ridiculously committed, beyond obsessed. I'd be careful about questioning the determination thing. This was always my concern in Tampa, that you had this almost MIT, Harvard-level commitment and attention to detail. You just work, you sleep at the facility. And in Tampa, that's not what they are. It's loose, it's fun, it's tequila at 5:30. I'm not even talking directly to Arians. It's just the organization. I used to cover it. It's not aspirational. It's not buttoned up. Hey, there's always tomorrow we lost a playoff game. Oh, wait, they don't get to the playoffs. Longest NFC drought in the playoffs, longer than Detroit. Jimmy Johnson said this yesterday. The greater the quarterback, the more careful you have to be with the public criticism.
Anytime you call out one of your players publicly, especially a quarterback with their egos, you're going to cause some tension there. And I think it's tension that you don't really need. But, sometimes all of us, the reporters asking questions, right off the cuff, you want to give them the right answer. A lot of times you shouldn't give them the right answer. Belichick's got it best, owned to Cincinnati. And so, I don't think it's good to publicly criticize your quarterback.
Listen, Arians basically came out and said, listen, they didn't show us anything we didn't expect. Translation, I got it right, he didn't. Well, my game plan was great, he wasn't. Just got to be careful. Listen, the other thing is people who are driven and goal-oriented and tough on themselves, Tom knows his mistakes. The people you have to get after are the ones like Baker Mayfield who play average football and think they're great and have no humility. Joe Burrow came out this weekend, played darn well. He's like, I was bad. I don't have to worry about Joe Burrow. I don't have to worry about Brady. I don't have to worry about Russell Wilson. I don't have to worry about Lamar Jackson. Those guys are great, and they're B-plus efforts. They're like, I was lousy. You got to worry about the people who play average and think they're great. Brady knows he wasn't ideal. Brady knows of his mistakes. He's buttoned up. Tampa historically not. I'd just be careful what I say here. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.